early aggression, Alistar in the jungle can be a huge, huge pain to deal with. Shen being banned out once again from TeamLess, and TeamLess did first pick the Zyra game 1. But I'm still concerned. I'm still concerned that the Sona grab will be their first pick for M5. I think that may actually happen.
Yeah, no, it will be a very strong first pick. There's a lot of options though. So TeamLess, they don't necessarily want to ban out all of these top champions. They might want to ban out an Ahri here, and if they ban out an Ahri, the concern is that M5 picks up Zera, and then they don't have a counter. So actually, I don't know. We'll see who they ban. Zera might be a strong ban for them. Not allow M5 to get that. I would like to toss you guys over though. We do have on Reddit top 5 plays is out. There's the Zera ban. There are some cool plays in it, particularly some M5 action. So there's a little secret from ECC Poland. But yeah, here we go. We'll see what they pick. Sona definitely makes sense though.
Yeah, Sona would absolutely make sense. It worked out so well with them. But also TeamLess, the Kog'Maw is open. The Gragas is now open as well. So could actually see a late Kog'Maw pick coming from M5 later on, or it could be something that TeamLess may want to pick up for themselves. Just kind of go for that protect the AD comp this time around, see how that works for them. But still mulling over here for M5. But yeah, Zyra is definitely ban worthy here. I just noticed something too. Actually, grayed out, but Diana's, I think.
Oh, cool.
I think it's nighttime, so like Diana, she's not quite colored yet. She's not quite involved in the champ selecting pool yet. But there it is. There is that.
She's
first
waning.
pick, Sona.
She's in the waxing cycle of the
yes.
champ select.
There you go.
And then when she releases, she'll be in the waning cycle.
There you go. That works. But for now, though, she's there. She's there. She's waiting, but just cannot be selected at this point in time. But Orianna and Ezreal here being considered here for TeamLess. Ezreal did really well considering the situation. Last game was one of the most farmed actually in the game, but was just focused down way too quick to really be a huge part of those team fights. Did end up getting that late Guardian Angel, and late in comparison to M5 at least, but still was pumping out a lot of damage. Worked out really well. If it worked, stick with it.
Yeah, now the concern for TeamLess right now is whether or not they want to play M5's game or play their own. And Orianna, that would be a very M5 kind of pick. I mean, that's Orianna. You have the really long sustained fights where you just have lots of kiting and lots of shields and stuff like that, and that kind of plays into M5's hands. So it's like it would be if TeamLess was to say, hey, we're going to try and out M5 you, and that would be kind of difficult for them. Vladimir, on the other hand, is a very safe pick because now TeamLess, they have the opportunity to go into a really nasty AoE fight and try and control the early portion of the game. And if they can shut down M5 early on and win some of those early fights, they could potentially snowball to a victory.
Yeah, and that's I think that really seems to be the ideal way to go ahead and shut down the game plan here. But get things early before things spiral way too out of control and those GAs start coming on out. So that might be the best shot here. But you've been seeing it quite often from M5. They're starting to favor that Lee Sin. Granted, Jax has been banned, so they're not going to have the Super Bros combo. But Tristana being considered here for bot lane. They're actually going to be switching up. There's the Corki. So same bot lane here for M5 game number 2.
Yeah, I definitely like Corki a lot better because Tristana has the nice range advantage, but you're forcing a Tristana against an Ezreal. So Ezreal's going to be able to avoid all of that damage, and then the attack speed slow will shut down Tristana to such a significant extent. She'd be one of the most affected champions in the game by that attack speed slow. So Corki, has the AoE. He's just a really great champion. Did work out very well for them last game. We'll see. They might actually be going with Leona, and now Leona, that would be going into a heavy AoE comp. And Malphite and Leona, they are absolutely doing it. They have the option, and this is going to be a really exciting team for them. They will be sending Malphite into the jungle, most likely. They could send Malphite up top. But Ezreal Leona is a very strong burst bot lane. If they pick off Sona, Sona will almost certainly die. And so that's great kill potential there. But they have the just incredible AoE initiation where they can win fights. They could even send Vladimir into the mid and I don't know, just pick another aggressive initiation jungler, but probably Malphite in the jungle, and then like a Morgana or something to follow up on that AoE and just really shut down fights.
And that was one of the biggest, biggest weaknesses for TeamLess's game, for the first one. Rami, there was a lot of there's a lot of AoE damage, but the big AoE initiation in Rumble and in Zyra. It's not a hard initiate like you really needed from Rumble because you still had Sona follow up with the ult. You can still do that while you're slowed, by the way. But Zyra with a huge AoE, you saw her getting focused down a lot game number 1, and in some instances never even got that ult off.
Yeah.
And even then, even when you do get it down, there is that short delay before you actually do get your CC, before you do get your pop-up. At least now with Malphite and Leona is going to be, a little bit quicker on the draw there to get what you need. The Mordekaiser coming on in from M5, pushing huge in the mid, and we'll see what that Evelyn is a placeholder for, if anything.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Oh yeah, of course they're going to be running the Evelyn.
Hey, you never know.
I'm surprised that we're seeing the Mordekaiser, because I thought we might see Gragas. But here's the benefit of Mordekaiser over Gragas. They're both going to be really safe farming. Gragas, he'd be able to have that counter initiation against TeamLess's team. Then he also has the mobility where he can survive through some of these AoEs. He can leap out of the Malphite ultimate and stuff. So Gragas actually would have been a pretty solid pick. But Mordekaiser, if they can get deep into their builds and get the GA and whatnot, Mordekaiser has a lot better sustained damage than Gragas does. And that's the big issue for TeamLess right now. We'll see who they go. I think any sort of AoE like Morgana or something would be pretty nice here. They could go with an Anivia, but we'll see. Where they decide to go. Oh, wow. So Cho, they might be sending Cho top and then Vladimir mid. Yep. But so anyway, Mordekaiser, if he can get deep into his build and get a GA, he needs to get a GA this match. In M5, they like getting the GAs, so that works out perfectly. But if he can get the GA, Mordekaiser is very vulnerable to these AoE teams. They're just going to jump on him. They're going to be able to burst him down before he gets off his abilities. But then his GA is going to proc. He's going to throw off his ultimate. He's going to have sustained damage and be unkillable. And that'll work out very well for them. Going with the Yorick as well. So an incredibly tanky team. Double revive with the Yorick and the Mordekaiser. So they can turn fights into like a 7v4 situation really easily. Then add on the GAs. Yeah. Now all of a sudden it's a 12v4, and that's it's definitely an interesting concept for M5. I'll stop skirting in and out of the frame here, but it's going to be pretty interesting. But they do have to worry about TeamLess's initiation. Yes. However, if TeamLess can't force the initiation that they like and can't force the early fights, M5 has a lot better sustained damage and will be able to win those longer protracted fights. So TeamLess, if they're going to win the fights, they need to win them in the first 3 seconds.
Yes, they do, and I think they have definitely all the interference they really need to run. You have fantastic initiation coming from Malphite and Leona, and you got damage, Vladimir and Ezreal. And here's why I like the Cho'Gath pick, because you have Mordekaiser, Lee Sin, Sona, all of M5. One of the biggest things that you can use to shut them down is silence. And Cho'Gath, with that AoE silence, can be devastating if placed just right in M5's team. That could really be the huge game changer. Not even really the ults, just that silence can do wonders. Yeah,
well, here's a couple of things about TeamLess's team. I'm assuming they wanted to send Vladimir up in the top lane, but Yorick is a very well-known counter to Vladimir. Yorick can abuse Vladimir early on in the laning phase. Yorick did see some nerfs this recent patch, and so that is implemented. He won't be able to heal off of the minions. That's going to be a little bit weaker for him, but he can just constantly spam and abuse Vladimir early in the lane, and every time Vladimir tries to transfuse, Yorick's going to be able to going to be able to get off a slow, chase him down, and actually win the damage fights. So as a result, they send Vladimir down into the mid lane against Vladimir, or Mordekaiser versus Vladimir. Mordekaiser still has an advantage there, but because it's a short lane, Vladimir should be able to farm. The issue is that Mordekaiser's shield will be able to negate any harass from Vladimir, and then Mordekaiser's E is actually long enough whenever Vladimir tries to transfuse, Mordekaiser will be able to hit him with the E because they're about similar range. So we'll see how that's going to kind of work out. But Cho'Gath did see a number of cool buffs to him this patch, and it's really exciting to see how he works. As he gets larger, his feast gets extra range. His attacks with his Vorpal spikes gets wider AoE and does all that kind of damage. But the big thing is Cho does very well against Yorick, and he has the regen from his passive. That's going to proc on every single minion. And so if Yorick's using minions, one attack from Cho'Gath, the Vorpal spikes clears out an entire wave of them, and he gets back like 100 HP and 50 mana. I mean, if he kills like 3 minions at once. So that can be, a really nice matchup for them.
Yeah, not to mention Cho and Vlad, they're very interchangeable. Both can play mid, both can play top.
That's true.
They can just go ahead and swap accordingly.
They could consider sending Cho mid. They would have to deal with the fact that Vladimir is going to be in a dangerous situation top. But so I do expect it's going to be Cho in that top lane. But Cho'Gath, his harass versus Mordekaiser could work out if he's able to just walk up Mordekaiser's melee. Cho'Gath walks up, is able to burn down the shield and constantly get some attacks, chase him out. But generally speaking, Mordekaiser will win that lane.
So we'll see how it goes here, and get our last pick here. So these are not the bans. If you're just joining us, we'll go over and recap them real quick. So the actual bans coming in: M5 banned out Maokai, Alistar, and Fizz. Same carbon copy bans from game number 1, and then Shen, Jax, and Zyra being banned out from Teamless. So unfortunately, the Zyra didn't really work out too well for them. They did not want to give that the first pick over to M5. And but even then, M5, they've had Jax. They've used Jax quite a bit. They do not want to have Teamless does not want M5 to have that Jax Lee Sin combo, but they managed to get half of it. And remember, this is the new patch. There's going to be there's some quality of life improvements done to Cho. He had some tweaks done to York. He doesn't sustain as much as he used to. But still, though, this is going to be a very interesting match, and a lot of the stuff now that Teamless did not have game 1, namely the hard AoE initiation. They have it now. It could be pretty. It could be pretty good.
Yeah, but to counter out that hard initiation, M5 is a really tanky team. And you were talking about Udyr in the last game, and how he's setting up the fights for Sona to come in. Well, that's exactly what Yorick does best. And Yorick, he's just a tanky body. He can sit there, chase down the enemy, force them to engage on him. It's kind of interesting. Yorick's original splash art, he kind of looks like an anglerfish. And you take a look at him. He's got the little the lantern.
Yep.
So that's kind of what he is. He baits people in with that lantern, and he baits them in with the ghouls, and then he gets his team ready to turn it around on him. So that's kind of Yorick's playstyle. It will be pretty interesting to see, but we'll have to check it out.
Now, so let's talk about the change made to Yorick, and it was a pretty significant change. So when he does use his E on a minion, he only gains back half of the health than he normally would if he hit an enemy champion now. So that's going to be that hits his sustain pretty hard. So I have a feeling that may actually change how he itemizes now, because most Yorks you'll see them go straight on into tier. So they have that extra mana, so they can go ahead and continue to spam out stuff. But now he's not going to have as much health regen. I think it may actually be worthwhile. I mean, it actually still was always worthwhile to itemize him into GP10s also, but I think it might actually be a little bit might see it a little bit more often.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm really curious to see how much it's going to impact his playstyle, because it really is a significant nerf to not be able to regen as much off of the minions, particularly against someone like Cho'Gath, who is going to be able to stand up to Yorick's damage, but then also bully him around. Cho'Gath, in a melee versus melee matchup, Cho'Gath usually wins that matchup, so he has a nice advantage there. The AoE clearing of the minions, again, is going to be very nice, but we'll have to see how the lane's going to work out. Cho'Gath not expecting to go in for kills against Yorick, so he goes ahead and gets the teleport. It makes him a little bit weaker as far as 1v1 situations are concerned, but he already knows that he's going to be able to bully around Yorick a little bit and just farm, so it's going to turn into a free farm lane. We'll just see whether or not Darien can keep up with Cho'Gath's regen. That's the big concern for me, is if the regen is enough to deal with.
Yeah, it's always a huge issue to deal with.
I'm actually kind of curious what his runes and masteries are with the changes. If he, maybe does anything different. Nope, just the same standard stuff: armor, magic resist, and physical damage. 921 and 0. Yeah,
it's not too uncommon, and you get the cooldown reduction on him on the attack pattern to just to go ahead and you can spam out all of those ghouls just that much quicker.
Spell vamp on Mordekaiser.
Yeah,
6%. That's pretty cool. So this is actually really interesting, because he's going a nice little mix here, 9, 9, and 12. So he has a really nice mix of masteries. This is on Alex Itch. But the spell vamp, he doesn't have to necessarily rush that revolver. No. He's going to have 9% spell vamp when you consider the 6% from his masteries and the 3% you get, or I'm sorry, the 3% from masteries and the 6% he has from runes. So not only does Mordekaiser win in the 1v1 against Vladimir, but he's also going to have the regen, where he's going to be able to keep himself constantly refreshed, be able to spam out those abilities like he would like to.
And remember, Mordekaiser, he's not a mana-based champion. When he does use his abilities, they do scale off of health, so it's going to negate quite a bit of that as well, especially very early on. And Mordekaiser, just usually what he does, he just farm, push the lane, farm, push the lane. That's really his game plan.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to work out pretty well for him. And Vladimir can counter push pretty easily, but he'll have to tank it a little bit. We'll see how that kind of works. The big thing for them is they have Malphite as a jungler, and Malphite's jungle is pretty solid. But Mordekaiser, a lot of times you want to try and steal Wraiths, and that's when you're at your most vulnerable. The early levels for Mordekaiser, before you hit 6, Mordekaiser is very squishy and very vulnerable. They don't have the jungler to take advantage of that. So Malphite can't gank him until a little bit later on. So Alex Ich will be fine in that regards. However, when Mordekaiser also is going to try and take his own race and trying to take his enemy race, he can't do it over the wall like a lot of mid-champions can. He has to walk around the pit, and that leaves him in a dangerous situation. So if you have aggressive wards in the river, that's usually the best opportunity to gank Mordekaiser. And Malphite, he has the damage, he has the CC to hold him in place for Vladimir to pick up those kills.
M5 does get the vision of TeamLess actually going in through the river from the lane. And you'll see here, too, that Kerp did go for those boots first. They're really going for this huge, aggressive invade here. Granted, yes, when you do see boots on a support, it usually means an invade. But someone like Gosu Pepper, though, and Sona doesn't really have hard CC level 1. But what that does mean is that you're probably going to be looking to get quite a bit of harass down into bot lane for the first few levels. You want to make sure you can close the gap and actually get the harass in with your Q.
Yeah, and M5, they are on the blue side, so they can take the golems there. Teamless, as a result, they'll probably want to take the wolves because they don't want to allow their kill bot lane to fall behind at all. So we'll see how that'll kind of work. Not having any health pots on Leona could be kind of dangerous, though, because Corki and Sona, they have a lot of great harass, particularly if they get the harass at level 1 before Leona has her combo. They'll be able to, wear her down a little bit. If she gets low early, if Leona gets low early, then she won't be able to force the engages that she'll like to be. She'll be playing a little bit skittish, so we'll see how that'll kind of work. Diamond Prox, starting off at the race, probably going to go over to the red, so he's going to be able to make his way up top as a result of it. And maybe get some nice pressure on top for York.
Yep, and you see that right now both of the bot lanes are going to get some of those minions. They're going to be entering bot lane a little bit healthier than usual in terms of experience. And then let's also take a look at Genji here. So yeah, it's usually about the same level of XP.
Kerp's starting HP is very high.
Yeah.
So a little bit of HP, not just not that big of a deal, but. Still, we'll see, and it's the big thing is he can play back defensively a little bit until he hits that second level. Yorick should generally be fine in the top lane. Yorick can, lane against anyone, basically, but we'll see. Early levels, Tabs will have an advantage against Mordekaiser, but after a couple of levels, Mordekaiser will be able to sustain in that lane.
Yep. Now, we've heard this a lot before about Yorick, that, the big term a lot of people use is anti-fun. So with these changes coming in, do you think he's going to be a little bit easier to deal with here?
He's going to be a little bit easier to deal with, but it's not going to make him any more fun to play against. The big issue with Yorick is that he's, in a lot of situations, he's not fun to play against and he's not fun to play as, which is what they're always talking about. And it's the fact that Yorick, if he's throwing his ghouls on you, you don't really have a good way of dealing with him. You just kind of have to take the damage and you're like, wow, this, stinks. There's not much I can do about it. And then if he's using the ghouls, sometimes you're like, oh, these ghouls are worthless. Diamond Prox coming in the top lane will get some nice harass onto Cho'Gath, maybe push him a little bit behind, but Malphite in the bottom as well coming in. He had set up, wasn't quite able to get in. They weren't able to get that Leona engaged like they want.
Yep, shield goes down onto Malphite. That'll be back up in a second. And Lee Sin does get a little bit of harass down onto the Cho top, but he will live. And you also see the Rupture going down defensively just in case we want to go ahead and get in a little bit extra harass. But Diamond Prox will be spotted here by the ward taking the blue Wraith, so it's going to be a little bit of an annoyance for Frogger to go ahead and catch up from that.
Yeah, so nice job. Lee Sin does have a jungling advantage over Malphite, and he also has more aggressive ganks in the early levels, so he's going to be able to take advantage of that. Alex Ich, there he goes, starting it off, stealing his own race. So this is where we're starting to see the farm. So it's going to be a farm fest, and he's just going to try and get as high as he can. Should be able to get 200 in the 20-minute mark fairly easily on Mordekaiser, and we'll see how effectively Teamless can shut him down. But with that kind of farm, he's just going to be able to get the GA pretty early. He's going to have some great burst damage items as well.
Yep. Imbashib actually getting very low top lane here. It's just quite a bit of harass coming from Darien, but you do see Frogger's actually coming around behind from the lane. Darien will get slowed, does have the shard, but the Rupture not going to be hitting there. So just a little bit extra harass, keeping Darien away, keeping him humble. He will be pushed back to tower. He may actually recall here, and yes, he will.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yorick's actually able to get a nice little early advantage over Cho'Gath. So, the damage that Yorick has is still phenomenal in the early levels. He's able to harass him down a little bit. But now Cho'Gath can farm, can heal up a little bit, push him into the tower, get a nice little advantage. Alex Ich actually kind of getting caught out, but he's going to be able to dip towards the top lane. Malphite now chasing him down. Cho a little bit too low to come in from the side. So Alex Ich will be okay. But you see, he has to take a long way around. He doesn't want to have to walk into Vladimir because it's just such a dangerous route for him, and taking the race is always kind of a scary proposition for Mord.
And now that he's had to go the long way around, he's actually seeing that your minions are actually being denied and pushed into his tower. So it's going to be a little bit of a risky prospect. But every time I would hope that TeamLess actually wards this area pretty quickly. Granted, ward coming in from Lee Sin, and that's one of our main objectives. Just go ahead and keep heavy presence there at their wraiths, steal them often, steal them quickly, and get back in, keep that farm up.
Early, often, and in copious amounts.
Yes.
They'll be able to take that.
Great method of life for really anything.
Yeah, definitely. I know what method I was, talking about for applying it, and it's I won't discuss where I first heard that phrase, but
all right.
So really nice job from M5 so far, but TeamLess as well. And once Malphite is able to get to level 6, that'll be huge. He will, have control of his race here, and so just Malphite has the jungling speed. He just wants to keep on keeping his race down, and as long as he keeps on clearing them, it won't open up opportunities for Mordekaiser to get a farm advantage.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see him right there, but there is the vision coming in. M5 does know he's taking him. So, but granted, now you have the ward down here over by the tri-ramp coming in. Metalex getting a lot of damage, very chunked out. There is the ignite, but will it actually tick down? No, he will live off of that one, 30 health.
Yeah, and the burst damage from Sona and Corki is just phenomenal. And so that's a serious concern for TeamLess if they want to be aggressive with that kill lane. But then if Corki and Sona are able to win those exchanges, then the lane just completely falls apart, and Leona won't be able to be aggressive. Alex Ich getting pretty low. He will throw off his ultimate just to heal, so he will be okay. But Tabs throwing off some of that damage. He will be able to go clear this race, and then he has the sustain early on. But the burst damage, and actually Vladimir going with the cage, a little bit concerned, wants to make sure he can keep up to the farm with Mordekaiser.
Because Mordekaiser himself actually got one as well. So it's like, well, if you're going to get one, then, I'm going to, have my mom buy me one too. It's like, toys is when you're a kid. It's like, well, he had one, I want one too. But in this kind of situation, though, you want to keep your farm up. You want to keep income as equal as you can. And it's actually, Vlad's actually very slightly edging out by about 100 gold. It's nothing too significant now, but later on it could be huge.
Yeah, Kurt putting some pressure on Gosu Pepper. One of the nice things with the Cho versus Yorick up top that we're starting to see, though, is that Cho has a little bit more mana sustain than Yorick does. And his E doesn't cost anything, but he's getting constant mana back from his passive, whereas Yorick can get kind of low. We're still seeing that same Yorick build, though, so he wants that tier 4, that spam ability. And it seems that, in those 1v1s, he is still doing a pretty decent job against Cho'Gath. But we'll see whether or not that changes as time progresses.
Yep, Cho grabbing the Philo Stone, wants to keep his income high. Genji getting caught with the quick stun coming from Kerp because Sona is not around, so might as well just go ahead and abuse that fact. Tabs getting quite a bit of damage there, and Pause coming on in real quick.
Tabs is Tabs is pausing mid-fight. He's like, no, don't kill me.
It's like, no, we're not going to have any of that here. So let's also take a quick look at the farm here because top lane is just so incredibly even. Same thing with the mid.
Yeah. No, it's even all around.
All across the board. All across the board. Just really everyone's doing a fantastic job. It's a very, very even game here on the 9th minute. So it's just a matter of, where you're going to go from here. And you see both teams have actually gotten wards over at the enemy wraiths. So it just really speaks to how often those are going to be huge spots of contention, and maybe maybe later on that could be where someone gets caught. Lee Sin going to trying to be aggressive could get caught at enemy wraiths. Say like Mordekaiser going back to his own wraiths could be caught if he's there, gets spotted out.
I'll be honest. Let's hit backspace for a second and then move the map somewhere else.
The buzzing was annoying you?
The buzzing was kind of bothering me. So, hopefully the unpause will be back in a second. If we just fast forward back to the, live, and we'll be able to take a look at that. But I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to see how this game progresses. Lee Sin is a little bit stronger as far as Wriggles. There we go. So Lee Sin's a little bit stronger as far as Wriggles is concerned for dragon control. So M5 could kind of pressure that, but the concern is going to be that the early team fights for Teamless are a little bit stronger. So M5 doesn't want to force themselves in a dangerous situation against those AoE ultimates, where Teamless can just really quickly sweep up a fight, and then Ezreal has the finishing capabilities to take people down. So we'll see. Probably going to be a passive game for the most part.
Yeah.
M5 really wants to get into those later builds on Mordekaiser in particular, and everyone, just so that Mordekaiser's tanky enough to stand up to them and deal with Teamless's AoE.
But that is the danger of building on up or allowing a team to build up into the late game, because we are quite accustomed to what M5 is doing now. And the later they build, the later this goes on. And if Teamless doesn't make aggressive plays, then the GAs will come, and then things will get weird.
Yeah, so we'll see. How Teamless can start to pressure things. The Cho'Gath teleport could be really key, particularly for the dragon fights. They could just decide to force the fights themselves. Ezreal will be able to take it down, but I don't know. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back in this game shortly. I don't know. We'll see. Mordekaiser is doing a pretty nice job in the mid lane, though, and he's at that point in time where I feel like he can start to bully around Vladimir. Vladimir just doesn't have enough damage to take down his shield, and that's why Mordekaiser actually counters out a lot of AP champions if they have sustained damage. He puts up the shield, he gets rid of some of their burst, and then they don't have enough damage to deal with him. So he can walk right at Vladimir, just charge at him, has the burst damage, and that's what we're seeing right now. He's chasing him off of the minion wave, so Vladimir can't farm as effectively as he's like to, and Mordekaiser will likely take a minion advantage now as a result of it.
Now, these are two mids that will very commonly itemize into Revolver very early on to go ahead and get that spell vamp and get that sustain. But we saw on Alex's pages earlier, the runes and the masteries, that he's starting out innately with 9% spell vamp.
Yeah.
Not quite sure if Tabs has it, though, but here's the thing, though. Because Alex has all that spell vamp innately, that allows him to go and itemize the way he is very early on with the lucky pick. So Tabs, recognizing that he's going to be forced, he's going to be pushed in, and he wants to keep up the farm, he feels obligated to also go with the pick. Not quite sure. We'll check as soon as we're unpaused to see if Tabs has decided to go over to spell vamp route either. But because he does not have that revolver, he does not have the sustain, that could allow Alex to actually push and exert his authority very early on in these levels.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the concern, and likely what's going to happen. So we'll see how that works. Lee Sin going with the Dorans, so we'll see whether he transitions into a Wriggles on his next buyback. But Dorans is definitely a really aggressive early item. Generally speaking, everyone's doing a really nice job with wards, like we talked about earlier, and so they will be pretty safe. We'll see who can win the support battle and get those gold pretends earlier. But Corki, Genji, and Ghosty Pepper, they definitely have an early advantage if Kerp can't get the kill presence that he needs. Once he hits 6, though, that's kind of a new story. And so if he can engage the ultimate onto the Ghosty Pepper, follow it up, they should be able to burst him down pretty quickly. So we'll have to watch out and see if Ghosty Pepper can kind of avoid that, or maybe get the counter initiation with his ultimate. And
remember also that Kerp went for those boots first along with the wards, expecting something to happen very early on in the level 1 fight. And if you're a support and if you go boots first and you don't get that level 1 kill, if you don't get that aggression, you do fall a little bit behind. Your first GP10 is slightly delayed, but fortunately enough, look at Ghost Pepper, though, has a Fairy Charm and the Ruby Crystal. You don't combine those, so he's going to be a little bit of a wait before Ghost actually gets his first GP10 also.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. To see how that'll impact it later. He should have a pretty quick double gold pretend. He's able to steal a couple of CS from Genja just so that he can get those a little bit faster. But I don't know. We'll have to see. A lot of M5's game plan is really just going to hinge on Alex Ich and how farmed he can be. And so far, he's doing a pretty nice job. And he should, again, be able to hit that 200 CS at 20-minute mark. That's the magic number for Mordekaiser. So, we'll have to see. Oh, is he repairing? I hope he's not repairing.
He may have to repair his installation.
Okay, so we'll figure that out. Hopefully everything's okay, and we'll be able to get this game back underway. But so far, It's been exciting to see Cho'Gath in the top lane, and Cho'Gath, I think he has a lot of potential to come back into competitive play. There haven't been a lot of people who've played Cho'Gath in the past, really just Hotshot. I honestly, I can't remember any others, just because Hotshot was the main Cho'Gath player. But I know there was a time when everyone used to play Cho'Gath. He used to be really strong. But with these changes, it gives him a little bit more damage in team fights. It gives him that massive AoE. Having the range on the Feast, it doesn't seem like a lot, just 50 extra range, but that can be huge. So, that could really help out his late game fights. He's already an incredibly tanky body. The big issue with Cho'Gath, and we've seen some Cho'Gath recently with like Saint Vicious playing Cho'Gath in the jungle. He's a very safe pick, and he's a very strong pick throughout the game. So he's a strong champion. He's a tanky champion. He has disables. He has damage. The big issue with Cho'Gath is his cooldowns, and if you miss your abilities in the late game, you can just lose a fight right then and there, because you usually don't have enough time for them to come back up fast enough. If you're trying to poke out, that's one story. But if the enemy engages on you and you throw off your Rupture and you miss, then all of a sudden you're almost worthless to your team. And it's just that can be very difficult for Cho'Gath. That dichotomy of how he can be really strong in certain situations if you hit your abilities, and then really weak in other situations, which is why people tend to shy away from him.
Yeah, and not to mention too, you also have the AoE silence. You have that scream, which is actually going to be, like I mentioned before, going to be working so well against this team here of M5. But yeah, if you miss either one, or geez, if forbid you miss both, you're screwed.
Yeah, particularly against Mordekaiser. Just chaining CCs on Mordekaiser are so devastating because he needs to keep his shield up.
No escapes.
So if they can silence Mordekaiser, the true damage, since Mordekaiser's pretty weak early, before he gets the Guardian Angel, he's going to be extremely vulnerable. So we'll see, how deep he gets into his build before he starts transitioning over to there. I've actually seen Mordekaisers go Guardian Angel as their first big item. So they'll start off with something like a Revolver or a Cage's Pick, and then immediately go into the Guardian Angel, just because they know they're going to be tanky, they're going to have plenty of damage, but they want to be able to, be physical and stand up in the middle of the team while being squishy. Mordekaiser's actually pretty squishy innately.
Yeah.
So, it allows you to be a little bit more aggressive in those early fights.
Yeah, and a common item a lot of Mords actually pick up pretty early on is the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. You do get that health, you do get a little bit of damage, and also remember, when you put that ult on someone, it's still proccing the entire time, so whoever you ult, they're going to be like a perma-slowed pretty much for the entire duration that's on there, but that is not armor, that is not magic resist, it doesn't really add to your resistances. So to put, granted, health is a great thing on everybody, health is fantastic, but on someone who's innately squishy that early on, it doesn't do as optimal as it normally would.
Yeah, so it is a really strong item. It's kind of interesting because Mordekaiser, his big weakness has always been his lack of CC. So everyone always, tended to get Rylai's on him. Or better yet, Gunblade. Before Gunblade was nerfed, it was just the coolest item ever to get on Mordekaiser, because it gave you that sustaining lane. You upgrade your Revolver. No one can ever take you down because of how much regen you have. But then in team fights, you could just insta-kill someone. That's the same thing now that we're seeing with the Deathfire's Grasp. I expect he'll get that pretty early in this game. You Deathfire's Grasp someone, then you ult them as Mordekaiser, and you can expect to get a kill pretty quickly. And so you're able to turn it around very quickly. You're able to, get that team fight advantage that we talked about earlier, that 6v5, turning it into a 7v5, or 6v4, turning it into a 7v4 with Yorick. But I don't know, we'll have to see how that's the case. The big issue with the Rylai's is the health makes you pretty tanky, but you're still missing out on armor and magic resist. You don't have quite as much damage as you would have outside of having the Rylai's, so it just turns you into a CC kind of bot. But so a lot of people, they actually are starting to stop using the Rylai's, and it's been a very common item, and it's still a very strong item. But some people are starting to not use it just because their thought is play Mordekaiser like the bruiser that he is. And you can be kited. That it's always going to be a concern that the enemy's going to kite you. But what you use Mordekaiser's strength, and when the enemy is going to be forced to fight you head on, then Mordekaiser wins those head on matchups, even without the slow.
And, a fantastic item that a lot of people are now building on him, hence the pick. The DFG now, since it doesn't give you the mana regen, it just adds so much to his burst kit. It is ridiculous. I mean, if you can manage to single out an AD as Mord and you have the DFG, that is a guaranteed ghost, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a lot of burst. We'll have to see how they can control the fights. The big thing is just Mordekaiser surviving through the initial AOE, which is why getting that GA could be so key. They're going to be able to burst him down, and they're going to kill him, and then hopefully he can just revive and then win those longer sustained fights. So we'll see how they'll work. I mean, the Yorick ultimate as well will help before he gets that. He could just revive Mordekaiser and try and pick people off. So should be pretty interesting to see. The teleport for Cho, Yorick unfortunately doesn't quite have the damage to force it out, and a lot of champions in that top lane could abuse Cho'Gath. They could try and force him out of lane since he doesn't have an ignite, and then force him to recall back in the lane so that he won't have that teleport for those team fights down at Dragon. That's not the case of the Yorick lane, so Cho's going to be very comfortable just farming and then be able to walk on down when they are going to have a fight and take advantage of that.
Yep. So hopefully we will have a reconnect soon. So just like that's kind of funny too. Is you're at your house, like you have like a sibling or a friend. It's like, well, my client's working fine. It's like, well, I got a tournament game. Can we? Yes, we got it. There you go. Finally got it back in, and we should get this back in underway. Finally, good graces. Yes, the Cho has reconnected, and the village rejoices.
Yay!
Yay! So,
and there was much rejoicing.
Yay! There we go. There's the unpause. We'll be back, and just so we're back to where we were. Oh, the buzzing stopped. Damn.
Yeah, and Vladimir forced to pull. That's just the upfront damage that Alex Ich has, and so he can bully around Vladimir a little bit, like we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that progresses. Gosu Pepper almost getting caught out by Kerp, though, trying to get some harass onto Ezreal. Is able to get some, but still putting himself in a dangerous situation. He will be hitting 6 before Leona, though, so he has 6 now. That'll be a nice little advantage for them.
Yeah, Leona's almost there. I mean, if Kerp can just take like 1 or 2 minions for himself, well, if he can take 1 or 2 minions for himself, then that would happen. But unfortunately, 2v1 situation, if you're a support, you will be zoned out pretty easy. And there you go, just Gosu Pepper getting super aggressive, wants to make sure that you are not going back to your tower unscathed. And that was the reasoning behind those early boots. Yeah, and Ezreal isn't there in lane, so Leona tried kind of faking like Ezreal was there, started like being aggressive in the bush, but then the nice little ward from Sona, he's like, oh, you're not fooling me. So he's able to chase him down. That's the key. You want to get free harass when you can, so it's a nice opportunity. And so Leona at like half HP won't be able to be as aggressive. There's the Sona ultimate, though. They have plenty of damage from Genja. One more rocket, the first blood. They're able to pick it up. 9:30 in the game. And Metalex is in a really dangerous situation now. Genja and Gosu Pepper can harass him a little bit. Though with Ezreal, he does have the range. He should be pretty safe with farming. That was picture perfect. That was a wonderful, wonderful job coming in. Gosu Pepper, Sona with those ults can really, really hurt. And now it may only just be 1 kill, but later on with the right positioning, which we saw game number 1, that could actually ultimately end up in aces as we move further. This is fantastic. We were talking about earlier how Cho has the mana advantage over Yorick, so he can sustain. Not anymore because they were able to send Yorick that blue buff. So Lee Sin, he didn't want it. He sends it up top, and now Darien, he still has plenty of harass. So not as much an advantage as I would expect for Cho'Gath, but really nice job from Darien. He's able to bully Imba Sheep out of this lane and still take control. Really impressive. A blue buff and a tier. How much mana regen? MP regen per 65 per 5 seconds. That's just mean. That's just downright mean. Tabs up here, gets the ult down to Darien, but he's not going to be able to connect a whole lot of damage on top of it. But it will be enough to force him out of lane, though. And by the time he returns, that blue buff should actually be gone or near gone. Yeah, and the big thing is Vladimir, he's denying some of that farm to Yorick. So there was a massive minion wave that's all hitting the tower. Yorick isn't getting it. Alex Ich wants it, though. So he's hitting up top. He wants to be able to grab this, and that's huge. That's a lot of farm that they'd be missing out on otherwise. So that's really nice for Alex Ich to continue that farm advantage. 115, 11 minutes in. He's going to be incredibly powerful, and Yorick is actually switching to the mid lane. So Malf and Vlad, they're going to be sitting up there. There's the dragon. Sona does go down, though. Kerp jumping on top of her, but they are able to pick up the dragon, so they get the nice gold advantage. Very well done. Very well done. Genja returning away. He's like, where'd my support go? I don't know. Diamond Prox also getting a little bit low in jungle as a result from that dragon crab, but he'll be fine. go ahead, go back, shop, and buy himself something nice. Ezreal all going down. A lot of chunk damage here on the Genja, but he's not going to be moving away from tower anytime soon. Top lane, you got Tabs, and he got Alex. Everybody switches. Change places. Top going mid, mid going top.
They do have to worry about Malphite coming bot, though, and they pinged him out. So they saw him in the river. They saw him heading over there, but Frogurt trying to get behind Corki. They will have plenty of damage to take him down, so it's going to be the split-second timing from Genja to survive this.
They spotted him. I'm not quite sure how they spotted him, but they spotted him. I think it's just going past.
No, they spotted him in the river.
Oh, they spotted him in the river.
They just think that he is probably around there. They're pinging it out like, hey, he's probably there. They do
right.
have the advantage, though. Lee Sin coming in, gets the slow into Frogurt. They're going to be able to chase him down.
Oh, no.
Frogurt might actually have to ult away. He's getting a lot lower than I think he expected, so he will be able to back off. He has Ezreal and Leona here to hold his side.
But meanwhile, top lane, you do have Alex. He's being dove by Tabs. It's going to be a quick kill for the Vlad. But Frogurt, nice shield over to the ward. And Frogurt does finally use the ult to get over to the wall. But Kerp is going to get caught out in the meantime. Imbashib trying to get some damage. There's silence. Actually could go down on the Lee Sin, but he's already used all of his cooldowns. It's not going to be doing a whole lot there. And Kerp will manage to make it out alive.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Mordekaiser had to, or did die against Vladimir. That's kind of astounding that Vladimir had the damage, particularly without the ultimate. So I'm not quite sure, what the situation was, how that happened. But Mordekaiser, he is going with that magic resist. He will have the, Negatron cloak. So instead of going for the fast Guardian Angel, he's just going to be going for an Abyssal Scepter, which is going to be very nice for him. That's going to be a very strong item. It'll help him, farm a little bit more easily and continue to be very aggressive in these fights.
It actually looks like Vlad's doing the same thing, but he's going for the Blasting Wand first. Just, either item
could be a DFG, most likely.
He could also be doing that, but we'll see. We'll see where he goes with it. But the thing is, though, Alex buying the defensive item first, though, that does kind of give him a little bit of insight about his confidence, though, in lanes. Just wants to make sure that he can stay alive to farm.
Yeah, so we'll see how that can work out for him, but he should be okay. Just constantly stealing, wraiths and wolves whenever he gets the opportunity. So we'll see how that lane matchup works now. Now that Vladimir has the sustained damage, I am actually still really surprised, though. No ignite and no ultimate, and Vladimir was still able to beat Mordekaiser 1v1, which I'm not sure how that happens. But I don't know. We'll see. He seems to be in a nice situation here now. But I don't know. Now they still have to deal with the Ezreal bottom lane. Gosu Pepper getting a little bit out of position. Kerp trying to get the engage, can't quite get the one he wants.
Just waiting. There's just I just want to know where the wards are, because Kerp, there you go. There's the one pink ward going down in the bush, but that's really all Kerp purchased. But notice too that Gosu Pepper doesn't have any wards of his own, but the river's pretty well covered. So, granted, though, if Malphite does actually come in through the blue buff, they maybe actually get something. Slow coming down from Diamondprox down on Imbashib. He's trying to get to his tower, trying to get there. Are we going to see some aggression? He does have the Dragon Kick available. The Dragon's Rage is there, but Ghost of Pepper being choked out huge. Now, Bali does have to throw down the ult just for safety, but the Ignite will finish the job, and Metalux getting credit for that one.
Yeah, but Corki is able to get out of there, so they will be safe. But still a nice 3-1 lead, for Teamless. The gold is still even. M5 farming a little bit more successfully, but Malphite is bottom. He does have that ultimate still, so Corki sees him in the tri-brush. He does have to play defensively. Mordekaiser coming for the race, but Frogurt is going to see him. He's going to maybe probably be able to steal one.
He doesn't have the backup available, though, to try and engage on this, so he knows well to just back off, go on ahead, and may actually go back around to the bot, because Genja is on his own, but you do see right here Diamondprox is in hot pursuit. Frogurt's there waiting in the bush, but he does decide to back off. The ult is back up, so he could actually make good use of it here. Meanwhile, you do also have Tabs pushing back down onto Alex Ich, and let's get a quick farm update as well. Still pretty damn even.
Yeah, and with that MR now, Mordekaiser, there's just not anything that Vladimir can do against him. And you see it's a very even lane. They're both able to just sustain and farm. So it's going to be a really high farm game. Mordekaiser pulling a little bit ahead of Vladimir in the past couple of minutes, though. With the race, with the wolves, he's able to get that advantage. So we'll see. But Darien still with that blue buff, just abusing Cho'Gath in that top lane.
I thought all the blue buff troubles were actually gone here. But it looks like, you know what? That's the thing, though. Lee Sin doesn't use mana. Mord doesn't use mana. might as well just give it to the top laner. But look, you do see
Malphite is
Frogger.
up top.
He is here. Frogger are going to get the hard engage here. Just wants to go ahead and get that slow, get something. There you go. There goes the shard. Is he going to use the ultimate here? I'm not sure if he is. Rupture actually going to miss. There goes the silence coming in from Imba. Frogger, you still have a little bit of time. There goes down the ult. And Darien actually got it. There's the feast. Ult being popped, and Imba Sheep will actually get that kill. Just a matter of can you get away from Darien here. Frogger getting very low. The ignite. No, 75 health will be living.
Yeah, and Imbashib able to grab that blue, so he got the kill. He's able to pick that up. That's definitely going to be huge for him, getting it off of Darien in particular. But they had the damage for it. We'll see how that kind of impacts the lane, whether it turns it around. Alex Itch still being extremely aggressive in this mid lane will be fine. And yeah, goes back to a farm lane. And again, M5, the longer this game lasts, the more and more it's going to be into their favor.
Yep.
Because it gets away from that AoE damage. Vladimir still will be incredibly powerful in the late game, Ezreal as well. But Malphite will drop down a little bit. Cho will drop off a little bit if they can't hit their AoEs or just can't follow up on it.
Yep. And also gotta make a nice little point here. There's a 3-kill advantage here for Teamless, yet the gold is even, and that's from farm and from dragons, all from M5. So despite that advantage, things are still very even. But talking about Dragon, though, you do have Teamless here looking to get this next one. And it's a very tricky spot. Teleport coming on in. Cho, he's going to be here just in a moment. And Metalex, he does get chunked out. Kerp getting chunked out as well. Mord ult actually going down on to Kerp for all things. Sona ult coming on in, and Teamless is now dancing. They're a little bit dissuaded. Alex Itch does actually go down in the middle of that fight. Darien now going to go the long way around, away from the rest of the team. Does go over the wall, but double kill coming in from Tabs. Genja has no option but the Valkyrie way. Ghost Pepper is a little bit slowed, though. Tabs there. Rupture not going to be hitting there, but the damage connect.
Oh,
no.
but Lee Sin still in the middle of the team.
Oh,
the Malphite ultimate will hold
no.
him down. Diamond Procs going down. They're able to grab the dragon.
Nice.
And the big thing with that fight, M5 trying to force a fight against Teamless's stronger early game team. Teamless has that advantage. They were able to pick up the kill on Kerp. They were able to catch him off. York was down in the bottom, so they didn't have to worry about the Cho 4v5 advantage. But even so, in the 5v5, Teamless is just so strong right now. And so M5, a little bit surprising that they decided to force that fight. Now all of a sudden, Vladimir is 4-0. So
nice.
He was actually able to pick up almost all of those kills. And that's just going to be really dangerous for them. 3 kills onto Vladimir in that fight. He could easily snowball off of that.
That is a 1,200 gold advantage that he just got over Mordekaiser in just the matter of a minute. Huge. Huge,
yeah, absolutely massive. And it's going to be really difficult. Vladimir's sustained damage is very high, so that was their big issue, is how strong Vladimir can get. And he still is going to have ridiculous amounts of AoE damage that's going to easily burst down M5. So for a while at least, they're going to be at Teamless's beck and whim. It's just they won't really have a lot of options. Darien's still trying to be extremely aggressive against Cho and still able to actually wear him down pretty nicely there. So the passive from Cho just isn't enough to deal with those ghouls.
Yep, but remember the blue buff is now gone. You can only do so much with that mana pool, but here's the thing, Lee Sin, Diamond Proxy's grabbing it. But the thing is, though, will York actually come on down and keep it for himself? Or here's the thing, like Diamond Proxy's, I mean, he could just keep it for himself, go ahead and increase his farm, and it looks like he actually will. So double buff Lee Sin come up there into top lane. Don't think he's going to make anything happen there, though.
Yeah, and Tab's actually going to come down, grab the blue buff for himself. That'll be really nice. The cooldown reduction on Vladimir is huge, particularly against someone like Mordekaiser. Having the Rabadons, he just has so much damage. Mord does have that Abyssal, so that'll be really nice in team fights. But I don't know, it's going to be pretty tough for them to deal with it. And Frogert, once again, coming to the top lane.
There you go. Frogert, he does have the ultimate up. They could get another quick kill here on to the York. The feast is up on Imba Sheep, so he can go ahead and get that quick amount of damage done. He's level 12, though. That is leveled up, so he's going to be quite a bit of true damage coming on in. And here you go, Frogert with the shard. Going to keep Darien slowed. Rupture, once again, going to be juked, and Sheep actually getting very low, but here comes Diamond Prox to try and help out the situation. Here comes the Malphite ult to keep him away, and there's a Rupture going to be going down on both members of M5 here in the top lane, and everyone will just go ahead and back off. No kills going on there.
Yeah, really nice job from M5, and kind of an obvious bait. I'm a little bit surprised that Teamless didn't pick up on it, because there was the ward in the bush, and Malphite, even with the oracles, didn't take it down. But so knowing that Darien knew he was there, and Darien was still playing very aggressively and sitting up front in lane.
Yeah.
That should have been kind of a signal to Yogurt to be like, why is this guy just standing there if he knows that I'm about to kill him? And it was because Darien had Lee Sin, to come back, and he knew he was tanky enough. He wasn't going to die that quickly, but almost able to pick him up. Lee Sin will get in onto tabs, not going to force the engage. Is kind of concerned that they won't have the damage to pick him up. And Ezreal and Corki duking it out down bottom.
You see from both bot laners here, both AD carries from both these teams, they are they're set. They're dead set to stay bot lane as long as they possibly can. Just go ahead and keep that farm up. And it really did make a difference heading on into the mid and late game number 1. But then again, there's more issue team comp. But here you go. GhostlyPepper does make his presence back known here in the bot lane. A lot of missiles going down, a lot of damage coming in the Metal X as he's retreating. Ignite actually going on to Genja, but the Sona ult coming in, Metal X will actually go down there. Nice show from GhostlyPepper coming up. He's like, hey, I'm here. You're dead.
Yeah, really nice burst, and that can be huge. Malphite is coming up bottom, though. Sona will not be able to get out of there, trying to deny herself underneath the turret. Kerp would have to throw off the ultimate to catch her, but he's probably not going to be able to do it. So the minions, there's not a lot of time. We'll be able to get out of there.
Corki, can you make it?
Barely able to get out. Kerp, he has to dip and dodge.
Got it. Very well done. Nice credit.
I'm surprised that Kerp was able to chase him down, but with the finished boots, he's just a little bit faster. No, he doesn't have finished boots.
Doesn't have finished boots.
So, wow, Sona, even with the E advantage, wasn't able to get away. 355 versus Kerp.
378.
Wow. So yeah, just that nice movement speed was able to chase her down.
So that's Quince, I believe, maybe 1 or 2?
I mean, it's partially that she's faster a little bit naturally, but yeah, probably some Quince. Nice
ult going down in the mid. Alex Ezreal ult to follow with a little bit more damage, and he got 3-man push here in mid. Mordekaiser should be going down here. Can you finish the damage? But no, the shutdown actually going to be coming in from the Lee Sin, and that is a Vladimir ghost going chasing down after Kerp. I'm surprised Alex didn't die there.
Yeah, and there's Mordekaiser's advantage. 3v1 situation, all those ultimates going off, and he just doesn't die.
Wow.
Vladimir, as a result, was able to go down. The nice knock-up, Lee Sin actually hitting back Malphite, I think, and then knocking up Vladimir with it. So they were able to stun him for a second, pick up that kill. Really awesome play all around from M5. But if that's what they're going to have to deal with Mordekaiser, 277 CS, 23 minutes in, and that's the thing. Mordekaiser is one of the best farmers in the game. There's the GA, so he's already unkillable, but now he gets to just dive right into the middle of TeamLess's team, and TeamLess has to just scatter because they won't have the damage to take him down. And even if they do take him down, he's going to revive. He's going to be back fiercer than ever before. If you strike me down, I will come back 1,000 times stronger than I was before. And that's like Alex Itch's Mordekaiser right now.
If you kill me, I will come back and I will hue you 10 times harder.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the story here. And with Mord now finishing his, I'm guessing that Genja's probably going to start work on his GA relatively soon. And you can just go ahead and buy that chain vest at the very least to start. But yeah, there you go. So first GA coming in here from M5. The gears, the plan is already in motion.
But they're engaging after Leona. Can't quite grab it. Diamond Proc's going to be able to pressure this dragon, but they are kind of out of position here, and Sho is making his way down.
Frogurt is standing out in front, trying to soak up as much damage as he can, and also killing time for his ult to come back. 3, 2, 1, and it will be there. Dragon is still on up, just dancing, waiting for the opportunity. Darien is out there in front. Imba Sheep, if you can get a Rupture silence or anything, you can go ahead and start this one off. That would be nice. Rupture not hitting anyone, but Alex is just out in front. Here comes the Sona ult, keeping most people dancing. Darien actually going to go ahead and get that kill down onto the Malphite. Leo going down next, and M5 could be able to just go ahead and route this one completely. Cho'Gath, he's out in the back. He's going to be chased down. The kick from Lee Sin, the slow is going to be more than enough. You're going to be losing a few stacks off of that one, and that's 3 for free.
They're unkillable already. Wow. Check out Alex Itch. Just see if that GA proc... Yes, it did.
It did.
So I saw he died, but there was an interesting interaction because not only did he die and have the GA proc, but also Yorick ulted him. And so I was kind of curious whether or not, how that would kind of progress. But after the Yorick ult was done, then he revived with the GA. But even so, really nice play from M5, and they're unkillable now. Like there's
that's
TeamLess. That's it. And this is the point in the game. It was TeamLess. They had the needed to get that early advantage. They needed to get off that pressure, and they just, even with the advantages that Vladimir has, they can't take down M5. They're just too tanky. Malphite and Leona both almost instantly dying to M5's damage, and Mordekaiser can just control the fights. Like, it's just going to be so difficult for them to deal with him.
So they're recognizing how much magic damage is possible here. TeamLess just decided to buy a 5-pack of Null Magic Mantles, which we'll see.
They want to go for those GAs.
They may very well do the same. They might just do the same things. Like, well, if
you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. You might as well just GAs for everybody. Let's see if we can't get that started. But here's the thing, because M5, they have their 1 GA, but the rest of the team to go ahead and follow up with their game plan, they haven't quite started on them yet. So if TeamLess can actually go ahead and itemize and actually get their bulk pack first, they may have an advantage here. Metal X trying to get as much damage as possible. There you go, the shutdown. The Ignite going to be helping there. So Metal X, a nice little chunk of damage here. And look, I think we're going to be joining the M5 club.
Nice.
More
nice.
GAs.
They're doing it.
All of the GAs.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see this. I'd very much like to see this. If we can just get 10 GAs in one match, this may take forever.
Oh my God, we're going to have a 2-minute team fight. It's just going to last forever, and it's going to be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I will shout until my voice is raspy and sore. Just all of the revives. Like, you know what?
The mind is willing, but the body is weak and spongy.
I'm sure there's someone out there who very long ago probably made some sort of League of Legends drinking game and probably listed somewhere, every time someone revives with a GA, take a shot. And if someone's still following those rules, someone may very well die tonight. Hopefully not, but someone may very well.
Yeah, that would be an unusual rule, but hopefully someone didn't just add it to their repertoire. We'll have to see, though. TeamLess, if they can pick someone off, they will be able to control fights pretty easily. The issue is how many of their ultimates are they going to have to burn to get a kill, and it can be very dangerous for them. Cho'Gath is getting pretty tanky. He's getting pretty far up there, but still, it's just there's not much they can do to deal with that Mordekaiser.
Ambush Sheep trying to get some damage down into Darien. Does get the ruptured there just for a little bit of equal harass. Kerp is there to help as well, but Diamond Prox making his appearance, shielding on over to the Yorick, and TeamLess is going to go ahead and back off. Farming, man, GAs are pretty expensive, so they take quite a bit of an investment, and that's been a lot of the game, though. It's just everyone sitting back and farming, the Wraiths being a very common objective here. But we'll see how it goes from here. Everyone, top lane still staying in their lanes. Everyone's still, staying relatively close. Bot lane, the supports are starting to roam. But you'll see, and this is very much what happened with game number 1. You have the AD carries still just going down, making their presence in bot, and grabbing massive waves whenever they can. Genja got his. He went to the store, got his GA. He saved up for a while, didn't even bother buying the components. He's like, you know what?
He's got a lemonade stand.
He's like going to buy a new car. He's just like, you know what? I'm not going to get a loan. I just want to go ahead up front, pay in cash, and got his. And there you go, boom.
Yeah, so they will be very, very aggressive in these upcoming team fights. And the big thing is, again, TeamLess, they don't have great sustain damage. It's only Vladimir and Ezreal. The rest of the team doesn't really have it. So, once their abilities are on cooldown, if they're not able to burst people down, then M5 will win those long sustained fights.
Right.
And having the GAs, it just allows you to burn through all those cooldowns from TeamLess and then win those long fights. So we'll see how TeamLess can try and force it. M5 still will be comfortable with farming and just getting further and further into that late game. But I don't know. We'll have to see. And how Darien can bait out the fights, because again, that's going to be key. If he can force some of the ultimates onto himself.
Tabs got his. He went to the store, got his. Like, hey,
was that like a groaning squeal? I don't know.
Yeah, you got it. You got a GA. That's number 3 in this game so far. So there is now M5. They're going to see Tabs return lane. He's like, oh damn, he got one too. So and Ezreal, Metal X got his. That's number 4. Making the counts, making all of it count. And I was about to say that there's going to be a nice short window of opportunity for M5 to actually go ahead and push their advantage, having the better GA count. But now the time has passed already. Metal X and Tabs already have theirs. So, and remember, Mordekaiser, okay, the time has passed. There was a little bit of time for Alex's to go ahead and recharge, and that has already been done. So Mordekaiser, he's got his back. It's 5 minutes if you die for the recharge to actually come back up, so you'll get that next revive.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I don't think that TeamLess will want to get any more GAs. We'll see if they do or not, because the issue is going to be Vladimir and Ezreal, it can kind of make sense because Ezreal, he's very short range. He wants to, be up front and be comfortable with auto attacking. And if you're scared that you're going to die, then you don't get quite the same damage that you would out of Ezreal. So that's fine. Vladimir as well, he wants to be really aggressive up front and just allow himself to absorb some damage and still deal a lot. So GA's fine there. But any of the rest of them, if they get the GA, then M5 would just ignore them. Like if Cho, Malphite, or Leona has a GA, I would be like, all right, that's a joke. I'm never going to attack you, and you're not going to deal any damage to me because you're not getting damage items. So we'll see. I think the GAs are a little bit more to the benefit of M5 because of the fact that they have a little bit better sustained damage team, but Vladimir and Ezreal will definitely be strong with them.
Yeah. I can imagine Cho getting one, if anything, just for the inherent, protect the stacks, stay in a team fight, and he's also a very huge means of AoE CC for the team. But he's already stupid tanky.
Right.
I mean, you got the Frozen Heart, you got the Wit's End. It's like, he needs another armor item.
Well, that's the issue, is if you go Guardian Angel on a champion like Cho, then literally M5 can just ignore him and not even care. He just won't have enough damage to deal with them, and it would just be too much effort than it's worth to try and take him down.
Yeah.
It's already borderline like that for Cho. That's one of the big issues with Cho is that he's just kind of tanky, and it's like, all right, well, why would I care? I don't want to fight you. I'll fight the rest of your team.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Ezreal is down bottom. Yorick making his way down. M5 doesn't have the best initiation. They really have a more counter initiation team. They want to allow TeamLess to force it. And actually, Genja trying to force it himself. He's trying to bait them into him. He's like, hey, I have the GA. Come attack me.
Oh, no. Right now, TeamLess, they are a little bit split. MetalX was not with the team. And Kerp's got a while to go before he actually rejoins with everybody. But we'll actually flash over the wall. We'll get the safety. Now we can get that full 5-on-5 fight we want.
Yeah, and it's interesting watching Genja chase them down. He's just constantly attacking them, and they know that they can't turn and fight him because they're just going to lose that matchup. So that's how M5 needs to force fights. They don't have initiation. They need to just run straight at TeamLess until TeamLess finally is like, all right, I guess we got to fight now. And so we'll see how it'll work. They can pressure the turrets very easily with the Sona regen and with those GAs. They don't have to worry about going down underneath the turrets.
Very much like Game 1, though, if Ghost Through Pepper does actually go down early, this could be a huge, huge, huge win for TeamLess because that Sona ult, Game 1, very much like here, Game 2, could mean the difference. Just that huge AoE stun to go and start everything off, and M5 can just go ahead and chunk someone out very quickly. And, you already got 2 champs with GAs, but Kerp would still be an amazing one to chunk out as well. That's going to be one huge AoE initiation gone from TeamLess, and that could just allow M5 to go ahead and sweep the fight.
Yeah, so we'll see how they can continue pressuring this. Cho'Gath does have great clearing abilities, so he's able to force the waves off the tower pretty easily and stall for them. He actually did go top, though, so this is a really good advantage for them. M5 can try and get some nice poke damage on this wave while Cho'Gath is top, so they will force it down, get it extremely low. They might actually just go for it. They're going to back off, so they'll get it the next wave, though. It is very low.
Here's the thing, though. Imba Sheep still has the teleport available, but with so much damage coming in really quickly and in bursts. Remember, Mordekaiser has the DFG now. That's going to be huge single target damage. It's just a matter of will the teleport, will he actually get there in time?
Yeah, no, it's going to be extremely aggressive. But we'll see. The tower is almost down. M5, they're going to be fine with going back. I think they want to set up for Baron now, and they just want to make sure before the Baron fight that they're ready to go, that they have an Oracles to be able to clear out the wards. And so TeamLess is kind of concerned about that. But if they go for the M5, they can force TeamLess to fight them. That's the big thing. M5 wants to force the fight right now, but they can't force the initiation. So by forcing the Baron, you force TeamLess to deal with you. So we'll see if they do that or if they just decide to continue slow pushing.
Kerp out in front with the Oracles, but maybe caught here from Diamond Procs. The kick, the wave, the follow-up will happen, but just going to go ahead and shield to award it to safety. Just a matter of Kerp actually getting around there. And that's the big thing, too, that Kerp, that Leona ult is going to be such a vital tool when these team fights come in. And now you got the Oracles. Both of the supports are very vital. Very vital for this next team fight.
Yeah, so we'll see. MetalX going back. He's got some shopping of his own to do. But we'll have to see how they progress. Malphite actually going with the Guardian Angel as well, which is kind of surprising to me because there's a concern that he's going to be a little bit too tanky. However,
Show's starting on his too.
However, by going for the Guardian Angel and Malphite, we saw how quickly he died, and the attack speed slow. You want that long slow throughout the fight. So if he can get that off, that could help a little bit.
Yep.
So we'll see whether or not that works for him. But M5, they're comfortable with sitting back. Yorick is so strong, but 420 CS onto Mordekaiser, 403 onto Vladimir. They are both just constantly farming against each other.
Diamond Prox has started on his. Imbasheep actually got a chain vest for himself, but he's starting on one too. It's just a mad dash to see who can get the most GAs quicker. It's almost kind of like a man. I want to make some sort of like a nuclear war reference. This is like, like we have more nukes, well, we have more GAs than you do, so you may want to go ahead and back off.
It's an arms race.
It is an arms race. It's a GA race. It really is. So everyone's just waiting to sit back and farm, and the team with once someone edges out in GAs, they may just go ahead and try and force something, or when someone's out of position, you may just go ahead and try and muscle in to grab this Baron. Tabs, you got to get with the rest of the team real quick, because this may very well also be a tower or an objective race.
They can get it with the Yorick minions, and while TeamLess isn't there, they will have to back off though, so not quite able to force it. The Rupture not landing on Genja.
There you go.
Ooh, Vladimir. Oh, but they get the initiation. Sona with the ultimate. Malphite turning onto them. Ghost and Pepper almost going down. But M5, they have the GAs. Alex Itch, his will proc. But Tabs, he's in the back line. He has to retreat. And Genja backing off before his goes down. And Darien able to chase them down. Picks up the kill into Metalex. Leona almost chasing down Metalex. Neither Vladimir nor Ezreal had their GAs pop. And that is absolutely huge. They were able to just barely survive.
Wow.
Did Corki's pop? Is that going to hit Corki? No. So Corki still holds onto his.
Wow. Wow. Well, you did have Mordekaisers go down, so that's at least something to write home about. But yeah, that's a tower gone. That's a Baron that's going to be gone, and the ward there. The TeamLess, they know about it too. There's not really a whole lot that can be done. And I was scared too for Tabs for a second, because I thought that his was actually going to pop from like the ignite from him walking away.
Yeah,
which
no,
would have been
it was
really
very close.
Unfortunate.
And then not only would he have popped the GA, but he wouldn't have had any follow-up. But he was able to hold on to it.
Yeah.
He was able to get be very aggressive as a result. But it is a concern that Vladimir, even with the GA, once it pops, M5 is just going to be standing right on top of you.
Yeah.
And with that melee harass, they can just easily burst Vladimir down. Ezreal, he can get out of there a little bit more easily, but Vladimir doesn't necessarily want to be in the middle of the fight. So we'll see how that kind of works out. With the Baron, though, they have plenty of regen. They can walk up. They can pressure the mid turrets. They have a 7k gold advantage now. So just M5, as the game progresses further and further into the game, they're slowly able to make it more and more in their favor and just take control over TeamLess.
So let's do some quick math here. So Baron buff, from start to finish lasts about 4 minutes. The respawn time on the GA is 5 minutes, and there's a little bit of time when Mordekaiser died and before you grabbed the Baron buff. So there's going to be about a very small window after the Baron buff expires, where if TeamLess decides to go in for a fight, they will be at an advantage, and you do also now have Frogurt with his. So there's going to be a 45-second to a minute window.
Yeah.
After the Baron buff expires, where TeamLess can actually be at a huge advantage in this fight. It's going to be a very, very tight timing attack if they can make it happen. But in order for them to even have that opportunity, they have to defend against this push first. You do still have about 2.5 minutes left on this Baron buff, and TeamLess just needs to stay alive and not lose any of their GA procs.
Yeah,
and then they can go in. They may possibly be able to take the next fight within that 45 seconds.
And that's part of the issue right now, is that Mordekaiser, without that GA, he has to be a little bit concerned, even with the Baron. If he goes down, then they could potentially lose those fights, and they need that Mordekaiser just up front, being that tanky body. He is incredibly strong, though. He is so far basically done with his build. We'll see if he transitions out of any of those items and starts selling off items, but even so, it's going to be really difficult to deal with him and take him down the first time, even without that GA.
And that's a very huge trouble as well, because once you start hitting all of your items, then you're done. If later on in fights Mord does lose his GA again, if he has enough gold, he can just sell his current GA and buy another one.
Yeah.
If he really, really wants to, so there will be no disadvantage coming on in. So that's...
Wait, no, they share timers.
Wait, do they share timers?
Yeah.
Oh, I
no,
thought...
you can't buy multiple GAs and have multiple GAs proccing.
No, really? Even if you sell it?
Oh, if you sell it.
If you sell
I
it
see
and then
what
buy
you're
another
saying.
one.
Yeah, no, he could sell it and buy another one. Yeah, it won't share the timer
Oh,
there.
Darian,
But
though.
York getting caught out. They will be able to trap him up here. He's trying to escape, but in the meantime, the rest of M5, they're pushing down mid because they recognize Darian's basically a lost soul. The Flash, he's actually able to back off. But it is a 4v2 mid. Cho'Gath and Vladimir actually getting caught off. The slow, the kickback from Cho. There's the Sona ultimate. Tabs is going to go down as well. He didn't even get to pop his pull. The GA proc, and he goes down. One more second. The Malphite ultimate trying to turn it around, but can they pick off Tabs? Lee Sin with the kick is able to do it, and Genja has revived. But Alex Itch sitting around the outside never died, so his GA problem is not an issue. Frogger does go down, but there it is.
Yeah.
Not really a big deal to have the Malphite respawn with that GA, so he goes down very quickly. M5, they're going to be able to get this inhibitor, and then we'll see if they can just end the game in this 5v2 advantage.
They may very well here, and you know what, just now, in a few seconds will that Baron buff expire, and that's when the window was actually supposed to be. But TeamLess, they were split. They got distracted from Darian top lane pushing, and then that was M5's time to just go ahead, push up the mid, have all the advantage they need to, and that's the thing about GAs too. If you're split from the rest of your team, and if you get caught out, that extra life does you no good. But here you go. The Nexus goes down, and M5 will be moving on to the IPL Elites Grand Finals. Good job.
Yeah, and I'd kind of like to see what would happen if TeamLess, instead of going with the GAs, had gone with more damage items, because part of the issue is that Vladimir and Ezreal, if they proc their GAs, I don't know, they're still in a really dangerous situation. Corki and Mordekaiser, if they proc their GAs, then Mordekaiser's still going to be tanky up front and fine, whereas Corki, he's going to be able to Valkyrie out of there.
Yep.
So TeamLess, like the Malphite one in particular, there's not really a big advantage to getting a GA on the Malphite. Like, once he goes down, he's already used his ultimate.
Yeah.
He goes down, he revives, and it's like, okay, you didn't get a lot out of it. It does give you a lot of nice defensive stats, but I think that he could have built an Abyssal Scepter or something for the same cost, and then that Abyssal Scepter would have greatly increased Vladimir's damage, potentially given them enough to take down some of M5.
Yeah. Actually, I saw, because we saw Imbasheep actually build that chain vest. He didn't actually go into the GA. He actually went for a
For good
Sunfires.
reason. I would be
Yeah.
annoyed if he went for the GA, but Sunfires definitely works.
But Sunfire could have also really worked for the Malphite as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You get some extra health and you get that AoE. You're going to be in the middle of the fight anyways. That could have been done. They could have done something. But never fear though. TeamLess, they are still remaining in top 8 in elites. They will be back for the next set of elites brackets.
478 CS for Alex Itch, so doing a nice job there.
Yeah.
Vladimir Tabs at 459.
That's huge.
So both of them, they were farming pretty well.
Everyone farming pretty well. And you know what? Fantastic game, fantastic show. But we're not done yet. We still have the second half of semifinals to go. Fnatic versus Curse EU. Going to be coming up in just a little bit. The commercials break is going to be a little bit longer than usual to go ahead and get that set up. So while we're waiting for that the next match, remember, IGN.com/IPL. Go to the news section. Scroll on down. We're giving away 5 $50 RP cards. You're definitely going to want to get a chunk of that action. It's got to press a few buttons, and then you'll be in that. So when we come back, Fnatic versus Curse EU. Going to see team number 2 going to IPL Elites Grand Finals. See you in a second.